to be here. My name is Yvonne Kagondu. I am the co-founder of Kushite ICP.Hub East Africa, which is the local ICP internet computer footprint in East African region. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm happy to be here. So I'll just allow my panelists to introduce themselves, tell us what they do, so that we understand what exactly is happening in this panel. Okay, I'll start with you, Wesley.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Wesley Diphoko. I'm the editor of Fast Company magazine in South Africa. Besides that, I am experimenting with an exercise of what it looks like when you start with the physical world before you can build the metaverse through a platform called Ubuntu in Stellenbosch, where we're trying to turn a township into being a smart township.
Okay, thank you for that. What about you, Mike?
So I'm Mann, co-founder and CEO of Africarare, which is the future of AR-powered mixed reality platform, also known as the Metaverse. And we've got a bold vision to impact 1 billion people on the African continent, to upskill, empower them, and let them engage with this new technology and these new tools that are going to really enhance all of our lives in the coming years.
That's great, thank you. So I don't want to make the assumption that everyone here knows what the metaverse is. It's a buzzword that has been thrown around a lot. But I don't know, I'll start with you, Wesley.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what the metaverse is, what it has to do with crypto, why we need to know about it?
Yeah, interesting question, because you're right. I think most people you'll find here probably, or most of them would know what the metaverse is, but maybe to answer your question differently, is that a lot of people tend to think of the metaverse, or they say, for instance, when they're on WhatsApp, they're in the metaverse. I get that not everyone thinks like that, but there are people who think just because you're online, you've got some form of metaverse. But the truth is that the metaverse is a virtual world. In other words, it's an opposite of the physical world. So you interact, or at least you can exist as yourself in this virtual world and do things virtually, that is. Although we do find some things that are connecting the physical and the metaverse these days. Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Mick? Maybe something
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation. Just to add to it, the metaverse, we all spend so much time on our phones, which is our sort of 2D portal into the digital world. And now the metaverse is just going to become a 3D portal into our digital world and integrate our finances through blockchain and decentralization. And the big thing for me is it's all about digital property rights. So the metaverse enables us to actually, and block the combination of virtual reality, augmented reality, and blockchain enables us to own things in the digital format, and we can prove that ownership. So for me, the metaverse is really allowing us to own these digital assets. And if you think about physical property rights, when you could own physical property for the first time, and you knew that property wasn't going to get taken away from you, you saw people develop on that physical property. A hotel, a hotel, a farm, and rent it out. Now in the digital format, you can create games, retail experiences, educational experiences, entertainment in a 3D way.
Oh, okay, that's cool. And the topic of today is embracing the Metaverse and Web3, insights from Africa's visionaries. Who are you guys?
Yeah.
So what has been happening? You mentioned that we normally don't talk about, we talk about Metaverse, but rarely do we talk about Metaverse in Africa. So what has been happening? How are we involved? We always play catch up. I think we always play catch up in Africa, but what have we been doing in the Metaverse?
Yeah, it's interesting you've got Mick here who actually runs one, and they've really created one, which is great, because often in Africa we tend to follow, and we tend to have the global tech giants being the one that are in the lead. And we have the situation right now where you have Meta, for instance, you could argue leading, but other entities across the globe, they've also created some of their visions of the metaverse. And I think if you ask about the Africa question, is that there is a need for Africa to exist in the virtual world. otherwise we would have a world that's created for the Africans. And we would interact there, and that world will be shaped for the Africans, as opposed to us creating the metaverse ourselves and actually experiencing for ourselves. Yeah.
So have we been doing anything in relation to the metaverse?
Well, yeah, I think there are a couple of interesting projects, and great example is what Mick has been doing. I think I'll hand over to him and for him to just tell us about what he's been doing.
Yeah, so, I mean, is everyone listening? Hello? Thank you. You guys in the VIP? So there's a lot happening in the metaverse, and just as they said, we want to be leading in Africa and not chasing this tail of disruption. So it's very important for us to be leaders on a global stage. And I'm proud to say that we're going to have about, we haven't hit it yet, but we're going to hit 90,000 people in Ubuntuland this month, which is starting to compete with the big guys. So it's coming, and we've just launched an AI course. If anyone's interested in artificial intelligence, learning how to actually understand what a large language model is, how to use it, how to use DALL-E 3, how to become a prompt engineering specialist, you can actually do that now in Ubuntuland for free. You can take a free AI course, and there's a Web3 course coming. We've got a growers course, landowners that actually are into flowers and marijuana, which is legal. They are building their own growers course to actually learn how to grow your own product, in the metaverse. So you can, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of educational products coming out. There's a lot of entertainment. That we just recently held a live stream of the Nairobi Metaverse Summit, and we had about 2,400 people attend in the metaverse, which was pretty amazing. So there's a lot of stuff. We've got our Ubuntu token launching. I don't know if anyone has heard of the Ubuntu token. It's coming on the 30th of January 2024. So there's a lot of exciting stuff as we go into this new bull run, and the markets, the waterfall of liquidity starts coming into effect. I think we're going to see a lot more projects coming out of Africa.
Okay. And right now in the global landscape of things, like considering all other parts of the world, are Africans participating other than building?
I think there's a lot of... you go for it.
So I think one of the interesting cases that I've observed is Africans creating artifacts for the metaverse. So you've had artists creating NFTs, or at least the wares that would be utilized in the metaverse, whether it be shoes or paintings. Last year at Cryptopia, we had a painter who had created a version of his paintings, for the metaverse environment. So in other words, if let's say you were to buy a house, there's people already creating products that would be utilized. So I think that's been interesting for me. I think it will be interesting when we start to see actual devices that are created for that world. And I think that's where I think we haven't moved big in as far as making sure that we have hardware that can be utilized in the metaverse.
So I normally see people wearing those VR glasses when they're doing the metaverse things.
Yeah.
So is it easy to get? Are they imported? Are they necessary? You've talked about building. Are we talking about building only software, or do we also have the hardware bit of it? Because I understand it's phygital. It's called phygital, physical and digital. Yeah. What technical aspects do we need so that we can get ahead in the metaverse ecosystem as Africans?
Yeah, look, I think my view of this is that it's a hard challenge to solve. I think even global players are struggling with it. I don't think, even the so-called leading entity in this space has gotten it right. And all of them are working hard to make it right. But I think the important thing is to introduce people to these tools. We know that there's some guys that have created sunglasses, there's some that are launching headsets that would be utilized for the metaverse type environment. So all of those things are great because they will improve the adoption of these tools. But I think Mick will probably have a different experience of it from an African perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that based on our mobile penetration, we are focused on mobile first, so that we can. There's a lot of easier access and less friction. The headset obviously is a better experience and more immersive, but we think that a lot of the adoption is going to come from the mobile device, and then secondly from the laptop and the desktop, and then eventually the headset. And when Apple comes out with their Vision Pro next year, we're going to see a massive groundswell of excitement and momentum into the space, and as time progresses, it will democratize, across the globe actually. But it's going to start off at a very small access point when they launch the Vision Pro, and it will expand over time. But they're creating that FOMO, and I think Apple, they haven't announced it, but I think their strategy is going to be buy the Vision Pro if you want the most immersive experience. But you can also use your new iPhone 15 to get a similar experience without a headset. So I think that's what's coming, the dirty little secret.
If I may just add there, what is interesting for me is what Facebook and Ray-Ban they've done already, that is to use sunglasses, which is something that we use every day,
Are you wearing it now?
as opposed to a headset that you need a home connected to actually connect to. So these Ray-Bans allow you to just walk like a normal person and actually not just live in the metaverse, but live in the physical world as well, in the sense that you can see real people, but you also can see virtual things. So that for me is an interesting approach, which I think will lead to adoption. And of course, I'm sure Apple will actually create a much more user-friendly product. But I think all of these things are actually quite exciting to watch. Yeah.
It doesn't work. All right, there.
Oh, yeah.
I've got one quick, simple question, guys, and I don't want to be horrible. Since Zuckerberg did this meta hustle thing, why is nobody actually in the metaverse? Like,
So I think it's a good question. Can you give me the audio? Hello. Oh, sorry. So I think that's a great question. And here's a hat for you, because you can get. That's a great question. So I think what Mark Zuckerberg did, being Meta and being at the top of the food chain, and announcing something like what he announced, and then not delivering and spending billions of dollars, he got lambasted in the media, and everyone below him and everyone in the industry got lambasted. But there's actually quite a few people in the metaverse. There's millions of people every day in the metaverse.
Yeah.
So I think Roblox, if you count decentralized metaverses as well, and Roblox is about to introduce NFTs into their platform. So they get about 60 million. I think Sandbox is getting between 200,000 and 400,000 people a month, 200 to 400,000 people. Decentraland is probably getting 100 to 200, which are small numbers still. But the centralized games, which are a version of the metaverse, get hundreds of millions a month. So those games are huge, and it's just about a conversion into Web3, which there is a lot of friction in the system currently.
Yeah.
So it's coming. We need, and Mark's coming as well next year.
So
in the bull run, of course.
I don't know what's wrong with this mic. So maybe just to add to that, the metaverse is not new. My first experience of the metaverse was Second Life. So there are people on Second Life. Yeah, so I think what Meta did was to popularize it for, let's say, our sort of society that is in the social net type of environment. But what's also interesting now is that there's devices, as we've indicated, that will be used to access the metaverse. So that is a different experience altogether. So I think other games also are giving us an experience of the metaverse. So yeah, it's already happening. Yeah.
And then on top of that, go check out Africarare. Go into the metaverse. There are products available. You can book meeting rooms. You can take part in a free AR course. There's lots of things to do. So check it out on your mobile, wherever. And we need people like you going in there, because it's about every single person, engaging and becoming ready for the next evolution of the internet. And it is available today.
One last question before we wrap up. For Africa, what potentially can be done? What can we do on the metaverse as we advance to it?
So I think the mistakes we've committed in the past is to base technological advancements on top of everything that's created elsewhere. I think we ought to create foundations in the African continent that are owned in the African continent. I think that's important for sovereignty, for our pride and all those kind of things. So I think that's what needs to happen next.
Yeah, and I think more events like this. I think this event is fantastic, bringing the community together, having all these crypto degens talking. It's really nice to be back in this world with all of our crypto friends. And I think that's what propels the industry forward. It's about getting involved and getting your hands into the actual platforms and engaging.